Hi everyone, thanks for joining me again today. I want to ask you a question. I've had something that I have been studying for many years, and it's weighing heavy on my heart. As a food manufacturer here in the US, we have grown, we've gotten bigger over our 26 years. As we've come through the years, we've realized that there are better things out there that we could buy. At one point, we were growing all of our own apples, and then we had kind of outgrown that. We were purchasing apples from local orchards, and all of our apples even today come from local Michigan apple orchards. What's been on my heart is I have been learning and studying and understanding from science that we are losing a lot of our topsoil here in the US. 6.9 billion tons of topsoil are lost every year in the US due to erosion. And we understand that this erosion is caused by poor farming practices. 75% of our land mass here in the US is used to grow GMO corn and soybeans. And you may not have anything against GMOs, and that's fine. I don't care. Maybe you don't want to support organic, you don't want to support GMO. Maybe you don't have an opinion one way or another and feel that it's fine and healthy for you to consume. But what it's not fine and healthy for is our environment. When we use GMO corn and soybeans, it allows the farmer then 6 weeks later after planting to spray weed killer, Roundup, pesticides, herbicides, chemical fertilizers. And all of this is killing the biology in the soil. And when you kill the biology in the soil, you lose your absorption, you lose the moisture holding capabilities of your soil. It creates clay pan. When you've killed your soil, that's what causes erosion. So when you have a heavy rainfall, all of that topsoil, not all of it, only 6.9 billion tons, is running off into our creeks and our rivers and our lakes and our ponds and our Great Lakes here in Michigan. And we know that we have a lot of dead zone, hundreds of dead zones inland here in our country. Eventually here in the Midwest and in the Corn Belt, in the heart of America, the Mississippi River runs down. The last 900 miles of the Mississippi is some of the most polluted river in the world, and it spills out into the Gulf of Mexico, where we have created the second largest dead zone in the world. As a food manufacturer, I am feeling like I am supporting poor farming practices if I'm not investigating where that wheat came from, how our things were grown. So a decision that we have made here at Achatz Pie Company is to seek farmers who are stewards of the land. So there's a lot of farmers here in Michigan that feel that they would like to transition from a conventionally grown farm to a carbon farm, where they're rebuilding soil, adding organic matter back to the soil, which in turn, of course, will keep the water clean and the air clean. So we're looking to support farmers who are willing to make this transition. So when MSU Extension put on this 2-day grass-fed beef conference up north last winter, I drove up there and took the conference. And I met a lot of other farmers that were there who were, all on this idea. We really learned a lot. It was really amazing. I thought it was really well put together. Through there, I had made some contacts, and I said, well, we don't use a whole lot of beef right now, but we really do want to switch to 100% grass-fed beef for our beef pot pies. But in the meantime, I was looking for 100% grass-fed milk. We realized that the nutrition value is so much higher when you're eating 100% grass-fed milk. Some of the stuff that I learned up there at MSU was how to properly rotate your cows from pasture to pasture. Whether you're raising grass-fed beef or dairy, you're moving your cattle from paddock to paddock probably every 24 hours. So they're staying in small groups, but yet what they're doing is eating a third of the pasture. Another third, they're trampling it down with their hooves, right? So they're creating more organic matter back into the soil. And they're kind of aerating the soil as well with their hooves. So it's really great to have animals on your land. The other third is just getting pooped and peed on, right? So that's really wonderful stuff for the soil too. So a cow will never just want to stay there and linger very long in its own poop. it wants to be moved. And if you keep those cows on that same pasture all the time, not a healthy thing either. You're overgrazing, and now, yeah, we're contributing to erosion by the overgrazing. You have to take the cattle off of that paddock and allow the field to recuperate and regenerate and grow again. And so once that high quality grass that you have planted there or that is growing, you know, your alfalfa and your clover and everything, you want those grasses to grow back up probably another, 2 or 3 feet before you put your cattle back out there. If you could just keep putting your cattle back out there when your grass is only 4 or 5 inches tall and they gnaw it down again, and it just had, the plant is really growing underground. You need to allow that field to rest and recuperate and reestablish its root systems. The roots are what's feeding the biology in the soil. More nutrient cycling. You've got all your protozoa and your bacteria and your fungi and your earthworms and your nematodes and all of that life in the soil that is cycling nutrients for the plants to use. So therefore, your plant is healthier, your cow is healthier, healthier milk. I found a group of dairy farmers in Mayo, Michigan. Most of them were Amish, and they were already rotating their cattle around the field into a new fresh paddock every 24 hours. So after milking, the cattle went into a new, fresh, clean pasture, and they were eating really high quality grasses and alfalfa and timothy and all different kinds of fescue. And then in the winter, they are still out on the pasture, but they're given really great high quality hay. They're not feeding their cows any grain, no GMO corn, and cows really are ruminators. They shouldn't be eating grain, really, guys. I mean, doesn't that really sound weird? I mean, I had one little dairy cow when I was growing up, and we milked her every morning and night. And we always had a little pail of grain just to kind of have her stand still while we milked her. But really, cows have 4 stomachs. They're ruminators. They should not be eating grain. So I found this small group of Amish dairy farmers, and I've been working with these guys for almost a year. And they're creating a little partnership there, and we are really working out how much milk, which we'll use over 5,000 pounds of milk a week to make our cream pies and other things that we need the milk for. Hopefully we'll then eventually start purchasing their heavy cream and their butter. So this is a really, really great piece of news for you. And I'm wondering, as our consumer, as our customer, would this make a difference to you? I know that we're not creating health food, we're making pie, but if I can purchase better, higher quality milk that's 7 times higher in CLA and all kinds of other essential fatty acids, would you be willing to support that? And if you're not concerned about the nutrition and maybe you're concerned about preserving our topsoil, cleaning up the waterways, by supporting farmers who are willing to build topsoil and farm in a sustainable way, in a humanitarian way. So another thing that we're looking into that's really been weighing on my heart is switching to organic wheat. We've always thought we've done a pretty good job buying Michigan-grown pastry flour. It's unbleached, so kind of good, right? Local and unbleached. But we've never bought bleached flour. For one thing, I don't feel it belongs in the food chain. Bleach shouldn't be on my label, right? So we felt we've been okay, but man, it just seems that the wheat is grown in huge monocultures. It's grown in fields where there's no, cover crop after it's been harvested. There's no understory crops. It just feels like it's a hybrid wheat, and the roots aren't very deep. Therefore, it's not growing for a very long time. The roots aren't long and reaching deep to the micronutrients and everything that wheat kernel could have if it was allowed to grow there for, like some of these ancient grains like einkorn or emmer or turkey wheat. There's all kinds of really great ancient healthy grains that could be used instead of this modern day hybrid wheat. So I'm talking to some of my farmer friends here in the area, and I'm like, I know that wheat isn't a GMO. You got GMO corn, GMO soybeans, and then they rotate it with wheat every so often. So that wheat is really out being grown in the same field that the GMO corn and soybean were grown in, which was sprayed with Roundup and herbicide and pesticide and insecticide. So the soil is dead. Like I explained earlier, you've really killed off a lot of your biology in the soil by using those petrochemicals. If we switch to organic wheat, I'm going to need some farmers who really want to, make that switch from conventional to a sustainable organic way of farming. And we will support you in that transition. It might take 3 years before you get your organic certification. Again, whether you believe that we should be eating GMOs or not eating GMOs, or we should be staying away from them or not, or feeding them to our cows, that's beside the fact. I'm just looking at saving our soil. And again, why are we farming in these big, huge monocultures with our soils exposed to the wind and the rain and all the elements, turning to clay pan and washing off into the drainage ditches, the county ditches, our creeks, our rivers, our lakes, the Mississippi, and into the Gulf of Mexico? I just can't support this type of farming practice. And guys, I'm not blaming the farmers. I have farmers in my family. I have lots of friends and neighbors that are farmers here in Armada. I look at these fields and you don't see the life in there. You see a lot of weeds growing up. That soil needs to be fixed. It needs to be regenerated. We need a lot of compost and compost tea and things to build the biology back up in the soil. Some people think that their land doesn't grow anything but weeds. Well, because it's sick. It needs to be built up and then it will grow healthy food for you. But we can't keep spraying it and expecting to get more and more and more out of our soil and not giving back to it. I hope that made sense. I'm curious of what you have to say about that. I know that there's a lot of pros and cons out there: GMOs, organics, sustainable farming, regenerative farming, or conventional farming. So I'm not here to hurt anybody's feelings, but I just want to do the right thing. And like I said, it's been on my heart and mind for many years, and I want to start making the switch. For us to switch to 100% grass-fed milk in our cream pies, we figured it would only cost us about 20 or 30 cents more per pie. And I think our customers might really be willing to pay that extra 30 cents to help out the farmer. The dairy farmers that we're working with are going to get paid 3 times more for their milk. So would you help to support that cause? As far as organic flour, that's probably another quarter per pie. It doesn't seem like that much, does it? Maybe another 50 cents per pie to use organic flour and grass-fed healthy milk that's doing good for the planet. So guys, I know it's a really big issue. It's really complicated and it's very controversial. But I look forward to your comments and hearing what you have to say about it. I'm going to continue to dig deeper and to make more videos and maybe visit some farms. I'm looking for some farms here in Michigan that might be land to market farms, if you've ever heard of that. And that was created by the Savory Institute. So just learned about that here a little while ago. There'll be a link below for that too. Like the video, feel free to subscribe and share it with your friends. I appreciate your time here with me today. Thank you. See you next Wednesday.